Governors from the 6 states of the South-South geopolitical zone say they are committed to repositioning the BRAC Commission for the rapid socio-economic development of the zone. BRAC is a loose amalgam for Bayelsa, Rivers, Akwa Ibom, Cross River, Edo and Delta State, and which is an initiative of governors from the South-South zone to serve as a brain box for the collective development of the 6 states. Osilama Okuofu is a Edo State Commissioner for Budget and Economic Planning, and we have him now joining us to discuss how to enhance regional cooperation among South-South states. Many thanks for joining us on Newsday.
Thanks for having me.
Now, we know that Governor Godwin Obaseki of Edo State, has emerged as the chairman of the South-South States Commission. Can you tell us more about measures that have been put in place to make BRAC more effective so that it can achieve the objectives of setting up the commission?
Okay, essentially, we came out with a communique yesterday after the meeting. And the issues discussed, the agenda set, of course, which is the communique, is what's going to drive the processes and how we intend to achieving the things that would and facilitate socioeconomic growth in the sub-region, to foster partnership between the 6 states, like you rightly pointed out. Bayelsa, Rivers, Akwa Ibom, Cross Rivers, Edo and Delta, because we're actually interwoven and interlinked in so many ways, and we are expecting that going forward with the new desire by these governors, especially as driven by His Excellency Governor Godwin Obaseki, there will be a reawakening of the overarching objective, that led to why BRAC was set up in the first instance, which is to foster socioeconomic development through partnership among the 6 states in the region.
Very good, Mr. Okuofu. Interestingly, you mentioned a reawakening of this initiative, and there's been criticism that governors in the region over time have not developed a more proactive attitude towards the idea of BRAC. How would you reflect on that?
Yeah, that is true. That is why there has been a lull in the activity of the BRAC Commission. Every idea is as good as those driving the process. Now, how did BRAC come about? It actually started off in 2010, right? When actually 2009, when the governors of the South-South had a South-South summit, and of course, what now came from there was the BRAC arrangement, and then the commission itself came on board in 2011. So the whole essence was to, like I said, to foster and facilitate socioeconomic development within the South-South region. But when the people who are supposed to be the drivers of the whole process, didn't have that political pull, that political will, and the desire to ensure that the whole objective is achieved, then there becomes a problem. A major challenge that the Commission had was funding. You are only as good as the idea, and if you don't have the right tools to ensure that those ideas come to fruition, then it's just a beautiful plan.
And just as a follow-up, some analysts believe that the BRAC Commission has not been effective so far, due to large egos of the governors, unnecessary power show, and of course, lack of funding like you talked about. So what measures, will be taken or have been taken to ensure that this does not rear its ugly head again? What measures have been taken to ensure that when meetings are called, these governors attend and that they actually contribute to the development of the zone?
You know, I was actually trying to be diplomatic. I didn't want to use those words to use, but I mean, that is the truth, really. A lot of unnecessary ego, you know, because they are the ones who actually ought to have driven or should drive the process. That didn't work. I mean, let me even give you let me recount a conversation that I had with the DG of the commission just yesterday. So, I mean, sometimes they were faced with situations where they go for meetings, not recently, and when they now say, okay, let's go in and have proper discussions, and the governor would say, what are you discussing? If you have money, give to them. It's sometimes not just all about the money. It's about the idea, it's about the commitment, it's about the political will to ensure that these, whatever it is, a plan is, I'm always a plan. A plan is a guide to an action, you know, but you need to, you know, have the will, you know, to drive it. So I from what I gleaned yesterday, I mean, I was actually present. From what I gleaned, I think the governors now, they are making commitment. I mean, they actually spoke, I believe, from the heart. It's clear that there's need for them to, you know, come together and work together as brothers to ensure that the region, as it were, you know, achieves and attains its potentials, because we are linked in so many ways. If it's by, is it by rail, is it by road, is it by the fact that we share seemingly common resources, you know, so they need to come together and of course work in harmony and in tandem with other regions and of course the federal government, and of course there's need for cooperation, you know, along all lines. So I'm hoping and I'm believing that the story will be different now. I don't see large egos, but beyond the ego thing, I think again today the issue of capacity is key. Luckily, right now we have a chairman in council, as it were, and that's the governor of Edo State, who understands, you know, the rudiments of you know, driving processes like this. I mean, some of the things he has brought to bear in Edo State, and I think with his leadership, his understanding, and his in quote boardroom acumen, we will to achieve some of these objectives, you know, seamlessly.
Indeed, Mr. Okuofu. Now, beyond the BRACE initiative, is there anything close to its ideals that is currently being replicated in terms of economic cooperation among Niger Delta states, perhaps on an individual basis, you think?
None that can come to my mind right now. I mean, that's being the truth. That's being factual. But what is really fundamental is the fact that, like I said, we are connected in so many ways, right? As a region, we have common histories. Edo Delta used to be Bendel. And we still see ourselves as Bendel. Some of us still refer to ourselves as Bendelites. Bayelsa and Rivers, just up until recently, they were one state. So is Akwa Ibom and Cross Rivers. You know, political divides or territorial divides, as it were, right now, shouldn't change the fact that we are one in so many ways. So those relationships, you know, still come to bear. Recently, the governor of Rivers State paid a visit to Bayelsa, something that hasn't happened in a long while. So I want to believe that this issue of ego is being put aside now. Such visits go a long way in fostering, you know, brotherhood amongst the states, and of course economic cooperation, which is fundamental. So these are the issues, really. But we don't even need those individual linkages. If we have the collective linkage, which is the braced arrangement, I mean, we'll do well, because we have the resources in terms of mineral. We have the manpower resources, and to a very large extent, that is why we're now looking at setting up a Brace Business Commission, which essentially is looking at, as part of the communique that was released, a commission, that would, attract business people across the region, right, to see how they can drive the economic potentials of the region. And this is key, because what that will do essentially is it will help to spike employment within the sub-region, which of course will snowball into higher standard of living by way of higher income earnings and things like that. So we're looking at all these interrelationships that would spike economic activities and growth in the sub-region through cooperation, along the different lines.
Now, apart from development of the South-South region, will the BRAC Commission, also be looking at activities that can promote national economic cooperation and integration? Is that part of the agenda as well?
Absolutely. That's why part of the communique as released is that the BRAC states will look at fostering relationships between other sub-regions, like the Southeast region, the Northwest. They have their different blocks, which of course essentially will then gravitate towards a national arrangement. So yes, we're not going to stand alone, because this is a federating state. It's a federal system. We do understand that other regions have their commonalities, like the Southeast. So do the people we refer to as the Middle Beltons. So of course, and they have their different blocks. But I think what is essential is the fact that we need to understand that as a nation, we are faced with certain challenges right now, especially by way of security. Right now, we need to have that conversation. Again, Nigerians are going through serious economic crisis. We are looking at a possibility of devolving more powers to the states, such that they can grow, at the pace that we believe some states can actually grow. This is key. This is one of the key issues that we discussed. And with the understanding that we'll have discussions across the Niger, discussions up north and all that, with a view to having a common understanding from where we are, gravitating towards the center. Again, to understand that we are a federating nation or federating states by way of structure, but in practice, actually, we operate a unitary system. These are issues we need to look at. There has to be a devolution and a devolving of powers, to the states, to ensure that some things that are, in the residual list, maybe move to the concurrent. I know that. Or else, look at issues concerning power. Issues concerning security. If some states were handling some of these things on their own, Nigeria would have developed far better than it is right now, and that is the truth. We all know all this. We need to begin to push towards the reality that we know, with the political will that I believe that the governors of the South have right now, with the cooperation and understanding that they have. All states were represented, except Cross Rivers. For some logistics reasons, they couldn't come. But the other governors were there. Delta was represented by the deputy governor of that state. All the commissioners of budget and planning were present. And we are going to drive this process to ensure that it wasn't just a Georgia thing. Actions will be taken as decided to ensuring that we achieve our aims as set out.
All right, Commissioner, if you were to have a rejuvenated BRAC initiative today, talking specifics now, what will be the most immediate benefits for Edo State?
Okay, again, it's important that we look at our individual as strengths. Where do we have comparative advantage, as a state? Yeah, agriculture is key. I mean, that's one of the fundamental areas we looked at and intend to drive. We have good land for cultivation of so many crops: cashew, cassava, in large quantities, such that we even have an ethanol plant in Edo State at Ologbo right now. Sorry, we have cassava that is that can be used for the production of ethanol. Ethanol again too can then snowball into the manufacturing of pharmaceutical products, and of course in the beverage industry. So it's a chain. Okay, so agriculture is one area that we are strong at, and then we'll drive that. Again too, for us, we went through a process of ensuring that we are improving on our electricity supply, which, if you know what's going on within the Benin metropolis right now, we are essentially running on a 24-hour power supply in some areas. Not everywhere, before I'm misquoted, but you see, it's a process. It's a lot better than it was a couple of years ago. So gradually we are moving towards ensuring power is 24 hours. And if you have this, it spikes the economic activities, because power is key. So but most importantly is agriculture. Again too, we are hoping that, which is why we're talking about the devolution of power, which it percolates down to even the resources within the control of these states. We are a mineral-rich state, but we are not exploring some of these minerals because we don't have the power to explore all that. But if we do, I mean, Edo North, is mineral-rich, and if we are able to do all that, I mean, then the Edo lights are in for a good time. So these are the issues, the political aspect, which we then, dovetail into the economic growth initiative that we're looking at.
So just before we let you go, I'm wondering if there will be any relationship between the BRAC Commission and the NDDC, seeing as the NDDC, was set up by the federal government to see to the development of the region.
Yes, it's something critical that we equally touched on. We are looking at cooperation, essentially. I mean, not working at cross purposes. The NDDC was set up to help develop the South states. So I mean, beyond political affiliation and all that, we need to understand that the people matter and the people should come first. So yes, we would work with the NDDC, essentially in the area of big ticket transactions, transactions that would, or developmental projects that would have very positive impact on the people, like the rail. I mean, imagine if the NDDC was to partner with the states to work on the rail line from Calabar down to Benin. And of course, we have a common road network that is not in a very good state right now. These have ways of impacting negatively on the macroeconomic drive of the people. So if that understanding is reached, rather than seeing ourselves as not partners, but having divergent ways of doing things, but now having a coming together, which is what the governors have resolved to doing, which is again to, like I said, a resolution to work closely with the federal government. I mean, the NDDC is a representative of the federal government for the good of the South. So the governors have resolved that they will work with the NDDC closely in ensuring that their objectives are met. So there's a resolve to making things better. And as people who, as commissioners, for example, people who would help drive that process, we'll give them the needed support that they require.
Indeed, and we've been talking about the BRAC initiative in the South, and of course, Mr. J. Osilama Okuofu, Commissioner Budget and Economic Planning, Edo State, would like to thank you very much for your time.